another episode of Courtside with Chris, brought to you in affiliation with Buchanan County Sports. It's meant to highlight the character of the student athlete and what it takes to succeed on more than just sports. And here with me tonight, I've got Miss Ella Rasnake. She's a senior at Coumcil High School. Ella, I appreciate you being here and letting us come over, finally getting this in. It's taken us, seems like forever, but you are a busy young lady. We understand that. We're going to start off. I just want to ask you a few questions. I want you to tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself, what it's like to be Ella. Waking up in the morning, how's your day? How's that on a daily basis for you?
Usually I wake up, get ready for school, go to school all day, and then I'll have cross-country practice, and then try 3 days a week to lift, and then I'll go shoot ball, do my homework if I have any, go to bed, start the day over again.
So just repeat.
Yep.
Now I've seen you grow up from diaper age until now to a young lady. I've seen character throughout my life. I've seen kids that's come through programs that's highly athletic, and they end up not doing anything with their life. I've seen it, just not ever being a vital part in society. They just waste what God's given them, not just from a sports standpoint, but being able to reach other people. Now, I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook. I'm friends with your mom and dad on Facebook as well, and I see a lot of these posts, and it does it because I've always tried to stress it to any kids, not just my own. Character means so much,
Right.
And how you treat people.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen posts where you take time of your own day. You'll go. I saw where you went to see Mr. Cooper, and you visited him in the nursing home, and I've seen where you visited some of your neighbors when they were sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I really truly believe this is not just a mother or father bragging. I really truly believe that's who you are. That you're genuine, and that's hard to see this day and age. But I want to ask you a little question here, and you tell me what the first thing comes to your mind. What does the date, March the 2nd, in Indian Creek mean to you?
It was one of the best days of my life.
And what happened that day? Proud moment, ain't it? I think a lot of people done exactly what you're doing right now. I know I did. I'm going to read you something that your dad wrote and something your mom wrote. And I don't read this to make you cry because people don't understand these are happy tears.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, you were baptized that day. Okay, I ripped this off your dad's page, so if there's a copyright there, you just have to sue me. He says, the most blessed day watching our amazing daughter be baptized. Now, this is a coach that everybody knows him, knows that winning is so important to him.
Mm-hmm.
This is his words. He says, I'm so proud of you, Ella, for a lot of things, but by far the proudest I've ever been. And he goes on, he says, I always put God first. He'll guide you through life. Then your mom wrote, and I couldn't copy and paste everything she wrote because it was like a huge book. She says, I sat with Ella yesterday in church, and I saw when she could not take the burden any longer. The message was God sent. She just broke into tears. And this was sort of, when I read this, I thought, that's kind of ironic. Could not run any longer. Ella, that was known to run, couldn't run any longer. I see this as like I say, from a coaching standpoint, your dad's coached a lot of good players. He's coached a lot of basketball, and of all this, the stuff that he's seen, through playing ball and all this. And I'm sure he's, you scored 1,000 points. He's proud of you there. But for him to point that one moment out, mm-hmm. and I think, like I say, it can get lost a lot in translation because of all your accolades.
Yep.
But as we grow older and we get older in our life, we realize that those things that we took for granted when we were younger, such as following God and what He wants for us, how crucial it is in the next building parts of our life. And like I say, I've been following a lot of kids. I see a lot of kids now, Keyston. I see a lot of you kids now taking that turn and following Jesus, which I think is huge. When the Virginia High School League writes these rules up for kids, and they want to base something on a student athlete, I think they could handpick you out and say, this is what we want. This is what we want to base all these rules on, that says that she's got good grades, she has great character. This is what we need and want in a student athlete. I think, student athletes that are Christians sometimes forget that they are representative of God on whatever they're doing, whether it's on a ball floor or if it's on, a field, whatever that is, they forget sometimes, and maybe it's due to the part that it's the competitive nature, because it can bring the worst out of it. It used to me, anybody that knows me would tell you, that I'll do anything for you off that floor. If you put me on this court, you're going to hate my guts. That's just the way I was, and I was never the calm natured person. Like you and your dad are a lot alike in that aspect. But being baptized, it has to be, that moment. I've seen the pictures of you walking down to the waters. What were you going through in that moment?
It was just the best feeling, It just felt so amazing.
Just like your mom said, that burden, it's just like it was lifted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And anybody that's listening to this, that you're a young lady, and they can see that some people looks at that and says, well, I'm not ready for it. I don't know that you're ever ready. You don't get ready and come to God. He gets you ready.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of young kids, they don't understand. And it's up to student athletes like you that have been down both sides of that, can say it's worth it. It's worth it in the long run. Now, we're going to touch on a little bit about your dad, what he's kind of meant into your life. Now, I think I did misspoke. I went back and watched one of the previous videos that you and I had together on the first episode, the second episode of the podcast. And I think I misspoke myself, and I said he had won a state title. He didn't win the state title. He actually was at the school. I mean, he came from the school that won the state title, is actually what I was intending to say. But the 2001 team won the state title. He graduated in '96, but his '96 team wasn't no slouch.
Yeah.
I think you can look back here and see that they only lost 3 games. One being a crucial loss, but if you were, that's what I was saying. If you were to win a state in anything, you will have one up on him. But you actually still have one up on him. 4th is better than what he did, if you look at it in a sense. But his '96 team actually was what started building the dynasty. You sort of seen step ups. And he was by far one of the biggest standouts when you see after high school. Now, is that something that you think about? Is like, okay, I'm here now and I can leave a mark here, or I can, when I get out of high school and I start leaving my mark at the college level. And I'm not talking about with just scoring. There's other ways of doing that. And sometimes for him, it's been giving it back to the community.
Yeah.
Is that something you thought about maybe coaching after college?
I don't really want to coach, but I'd still love to help just my community in general. Just not even just basketball, just help them with anything that they need. It's really what I want to do.
Have you thought about a major?
Yeah, actually, I want to go to law school, and I want to try a major in maybe criminal justice or a history major.
Well, I'm sure your dad would be excited for that, and your mom would be excited for that. You traveled, I don't know how many miles you've put in. I seen your dad just bought you a vehicle. And I remember thinking he probably had to. He wore his out taking you everywhere. So he had to have something to get you from point A to point B again. But just the post that your mom had made is that how humble of a kid you were. I know I've got 2 kids, and it's a daughter. My daughter was never as needy or wanted as my son. I know a lot of people won't believe that. She is now, but she didn't used to be. But just from the standpoint of when I read that, I thought, you could tell the look on your face. You were excited.
Yeah.
You were like, this is all I need. Did there come a time in your life, especially after your baptism, did you come a time in your life and you're like, God's going to lead me, He's going to supply my needs?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's got
Just
you through some tough times.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just praying, just knowing that He has a plan for me, and just waiting on His timing.
To be bold in the Word is something in this day and age. It's hard to do. Now, some coaches don't look for that; they look just for the athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always been a firm believer in character. I don't care how great of an athlete you are. If you don't have character, you're just a practice player, because it's never going to show through on the floor
Right.
with your teammates. And that's something that I've seen time and time again with you, is that you're a great teammate. I was looking at some of the stuff and of your dad's, and I was watching some of the old videos today of Coumcil way back when. And just seeing the style of basketball and how it's transitioned into the 3-point game now.
Yeah.
And your dad could have been a really, really good 3-point shooter if they would have shot more
Right.
of a higher. I guess they for back then they shot an average amount, but in today, you see kids shooting 13 threes, and it's
Yeah.
not no big deal. But I'm just googling some stuff, and I come across some stuff about you. And have you ever googled yourself?
Yeah, actually. We do that in class a lot. We'll just Google our names.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I had done you, and I thought, man, it brought up like 2 pages of just a lot of the articles of about running and just different things. A lot of the Mountaineer covered you really good. Chad does a great job with the high school kids in programs, and I googled myself, and the first 5 guys that showed up were black, and I said, this is not me. So I knew I was at the wrong page, but as I looked down and I started seeing some of the places that they can find you, if anybody's interested in looking you up, there's the NCSA. It's a college recruiting program or profile that they have on our view, which is what I ripped some of your stats from. And then, of course, the Virginia Mile Split.com, that's for the runners, the cross country runners. Of course, everybody knows Max Preps, which are sometimes accurate and sometimes
Yeah.
you got to kind of watch that. And Huddle highlights. I watched some of your highlights. And this one I wasn't familiar with. Prep Girls Hoops.
Yeah. Yeah, they cover, there's a Virginia one, and then there's just a nationwide one, and they just cover all the high school girls.
That's all. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then, of course, social media. Your X, Instagram, Facebook. All of the big ones there. But I came across all these articles, and then I got interested in trying to find out about more in depth about the Virginia High School League ruling and how it, kind of affected you. The rule, if I understood it all right, was that you were to set out 365 days, and then y'all got an injunction that withstood that and allowed you to participate in Abington.
Yeah.
Was it the last chance? Something.
Last chance invitational or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
And you went to Abington, and what did you do?
Well, I had to have a qualifying time because that was also the day of district, and so you had to have 2 meets in order to run at district, and obviously I didn't have 2 meets. So if I ran a qualifying time, I'll be able to compete at region and pre-qualify for state too, and so I was able to do that.
You finished second overall. Is that right? First overall.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I read it was your second best run.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Can you remember your time?
2:29, I think.
Okay. Now let's back up. Leading up to that, just the emotional. I remember, and I'm from Hurley. A lot of people know that. An hour drive from here.
Yeah.
I see you kids grow up, same district, basically school districts. But then, you start seeing these posts, and you want anybody that don't want the best for a child. I don't want nothing to do with them. Stay away from them. I don't want anything to do with them. But when I seen, I think you were either you were trying to run and you couldn't because you just emotionally was drained. Your mom had posted a picture of you crying, and that just ripped my heart out. But I remember just taking a second, reflecting what you must have been going through. What was going through your mind during all this?
It was just, I just wanted to run, and I thought that I would be able to run, but when I found out I couldn't, it was just like a ton of bricks just hit me. But I just had to stay calm, just be patient and just trust that, it would all be okay.
Now, was this one of maybe the factors that led you to giving your life to God?
Partially, it wasn't fully, but, just, I've been so blessed throughout
You
my
have,
whole life. And so,
but it definitely made it better.
oh yeah.
Just knowing that you had somebody in your corner,
Oh yeah.
other than your parents.
Yeah.
That's a given. Anybody that knows your dad and mom, they know that you're always going to have their support. But just the mental aspect, the emotional aspect, having to give up to go, in general, everything changed. Like when I asked you first, what was the daily routine like for you? You woke up, that routine changed.
Yep.
Because I'm sure there was probably a moment that you didn't even feel like getting out of bed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of days like that. Yep.
And for you, as much as you love running and basketball, that would be equivalent to losing a best friend, in effect.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't want to ever imagine. I hope no kid ever has to go through this again, because just the stress that it's put on you, dealing with that, still trying to keep your grades up,
Yep.
going to school, still trying to maintain, was it 4.0 is what you have?
Yep.
That's, anybody that looks at this situation and can't see that how deserving you are of every opportunity, because, you've been through the worst and you still maintain that upward hill climb. But let's go back here and let's talk about what led you going to play ball at Mount Mission. You hear rumors, you hear stories. I want to hear it from you. What led up to that?
So we had all summer had tried to have open gyms, just meetings and stuff, just to see how many girls we'd have here at Coumcil. And we'd have open gym, we'd have 2, 3, 1, and you can't play with just 3. And so we just tried our best to wait it out as long as we could. And so then I guess my dad had contacted the coach over at Mount Mission, just to see what we could do. And I went to a few open gyms over there and just absolutely loved it. The people were amazing. And
Josh is a good guy.
yeah, he's amazing. The girls were amazing. And so when we found out, like, we can't play with 3 here, there was, what else could I do? And that's when I decided to go and play over there.
Now that was the few weeks before season.
Yeah.
It wasn't long. I wouldn't think like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was pretty
about
soon.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember seeing some stuff on it. If you had it to do over, would you do it?
I think, I wish I could play here, but in that situation, I felt like that was my only option. It was to go over there just so I could play.
I don't think many people will understand that unless you've played the sport, or unless you've participated in something that you love, whether it's a sport or it's a hobby.
Yeah.
When it's taken from you in a snap,
Yeah.
it's sort of like somebody who needs their eyes for whatever they're doing, a daily routine. Like, some people can make it without a vision, but those people who rely on being able to see no matter what, and then it's tough, and it's blindness,
Yeah.
total blindness, and you can no longer see anymore. You know, that's something that you take away and you think, you know, if I was blind, if I had to wake up and I could no longer see, how would I? Because it was what basically they took a limb from you
Yeah.
when they did this. You know, it's like it stabbed you in the heart.
Yeah.
But you know, like I say, you went to Mount Mission. Josh is a super great guy. They have some really good. I don't know if did you get to meet Ernie Herzog while you was there?
Yeah, I did.
One of my favorite people ever. You know, he's got a great sense of humor. He's 100% for the kids. You know, they have done so much for so many kids through the years that I'm sure that they would do it all over again because it's to help the child. They don't care about all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
But you know, there's some. I'm sure there's some legal issues y'all still dealing with. We won't go into any of that stuff because it's still in talks. But on the ineligibility part of it, right now you're eligible.
Mm-hmm.
You're eligible to because of the injunction they put in. It still withstands, so you're able to run. Right now, have you run any races so far?
Not yet. My first one's Saturday. I run Saturday in Salem. So looking forward to that one.
So how's everything feeling? Your hips and everything doing good?
It's doing better. I had a little bit of trouble out of it, but it's doing better.
I think the last podcast we did, they said that you were having some issues and you were just like setting out to let it rest, which is what you had told us initially that before you try to run through that. It shows, you know, that you've matured in understanding your body a little bit better. Now, you still really haven't got an answer from the league other than, you know, what we've discussed here. So where does that leave you in the standpoint of if they say, okay, she can't play, do you go back to Mount Mission?
I mean, I want to stay here. You know, that's what I want to do, and just wherever God wants me to go.
That's what I'd really love to hear because it's not in their will.
Yeah.
We put it in God's hands, and He'll guide it as long as you do what He asks you. And so far, everything I've seen, that's what you do. You know. But we're going to get into talking a little bit about, you know, your accolades and some of the things that you've done in both sports. One of the first things that, you know, when people hear you and you're connected with your dad's name, it's always going to be about basketball. I don't care if you win 5 state titles.
Yeah.
It's going to be your little Ella Rasnake's daughter.
Yep. And
you know, he's 1,000-point scorer. You're a 1,000-point scorer. You had 2 brothers that played here, a sister.
Yep.
You know, so it's a family. It's kind of a family thing here. You know, they can call it. They could actually name this gymnasium Rasnake Gym. You know, because it's been so many here. You have a 4.0 grade point average.
Yep.
How do you balance just keeping that? I mean, 4.0 is not easy. I don't care what size school you're in. It's still not easy.
Yeah. Just making sure that I, you know, obviously running, lifting, basketball, it's all important, but I have to make sure I still make time to do my schoolwork, make sure I, you know, study and everything. Just making sure I have time to do it first.
Ethan McClanahan, when I asked him a similar question, he said his mom's always told him it's student-athlete, not athlete-student.
Yeah.
And I love that. You know, I'd heard it before, but I thought it's good to hear kids really let that sink in. That, you know, you strive to make your grades be a priority for the next level. Because here's the thing: is that how many travel teams have you played on?
2, I think. 2 or 3. I think it's 3.
I was thinking 3, but I went through and kind of unless they use different jersey names or whatever. I was looking at some pictures and I thought, yeah, she's been on several, which means you're going to travel a lot, of course, AAU and whatnot. But you really seriously, you know, as much as I talked to Ethan, you know, he done all this travel and went overseas and all this, that was with one sport. You do this with 2 year round. And it's amazing that you have this much, I mean, just that giddy up to you, that you wake up, sometimes you feel, you know, you just feel sluggish.
Yeah.
You just brave through it. You know, and that's the training that you do. Go through in depth a little bit and explain to me when you say you get up and you go work out, what does it consist of? Because I've seen videos of you and your dad in here, you know, and I can imagine, because I remember taking my kids to the gym and both of them would leave mad because I would push them too hard. Does your dad ever push you too hard to the point that you leave? You're like, Mom, I'm done.
You know, sometimes we do butt heads a little bit, but you know, that's, I guess, every dad that's your coach. You know, it happens, but you know, we do a little bit, but you know, I just know he wants the best for me.
He does.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever laid in bed at night and like from across the room, y'all yelling back and forth
We
about?
haven't did that.
Oh, now me and my son used to do it all the time, and he finally would just scream, "Would you please shut up and go to sleep?" You know, because I'd be laying there and I would get so upset. A play would go through something he messed up on, and you know I would still rip him over it. It is hard to be on both sides of that from the standpoint of being a coach and being a father, and you coach your child. For me, it was not for everybody. Now, some people can do it, and it's never an issue. And your dad seemed like he's that guy, you know, that he can do that. He's more calm nature than I am. Now I was looking at your sports bio. This is what they have you listed as. Okay, it says that you're 5'8", shooting guard / point guard, and it has some of your averages from like the last 2 years. It says your average was 15, but I think your average is around 16.7 or something like that. It went up from last year. This was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this was your average, 15 average on points per game, steals right at 2, 1.8, blocks at 1, which, you know, that's still better than your dad ever was. Rebounds was right at 3.3. Yeah, that's pretty good from point guard position. Assists 3.5. Now I would have thought from the point guard you'd have a little bit higher. Then I got thinking, wait a minute, no, this is when she was at Mount Mission, so you really didn't play the point a lot there, did you?
Yeah.
You did?
Well, I mean,
who was the other star that y'all had there that stood out?
We had Gladness also played the point some, and then Anna, you know.
What number? How can I go by numbers?
Anna's was number 2, and Gladness was 12, maybe.
12 was one I was thinking. That was a double.
I
think that's one I'm thinking about. And that was y'all played 22 games at least, so that's right on par. You know, with what's, you know, you to score 1,000 points in your career, you have to average 15 points a ball game. So you've done this since freshman year, 15 points, at least 15 points a ball game. I was trying to find what your highest points total was for one game. Do you know?
I think it's 32, but I'm not sure.
I've seen several like in the 20s. You know, you were the highest scorer, but I didn't know what your highest total was there. Then I looked for, you know, the efficiencies is where every coach. I don't care if you score 32. How efficient was you?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all had a girl here one time that set the Virginia state record in 3-point shots.
Yeah.
How efficient was she? See, that's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah, she set the record, but if you go back and you look at the efficiency of it, how many shots she shot, you know, it's good that she broke the record. I was glad to see anybody from this area do that. But from the standpoint of looking at it from a coach's standpoint, you're looking at it and go, she shot a lot, you know. And I can't be honest with you and say I remember her percentage, but I just remember looking at it. At that time, when that happened, Brian Hess worked with me, God rest his soul, and he and I was talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, but did you see how many shots you shot?" I said, "No," and then he showed me, and I remember it's like, "Wow." He said, "Yeah, wow," you know. But you know, this being efficient and consistency, and I started looking at your efficiency. Now they don't have to take my word for this. This is, you know, strictly off. A lot of the recruits can look at this. Recruiters and, you know, coaches, they want to look at this, and like I say, if I'm at a college, this is the kind I'm looking at this stuff and going, okay, I know some of this stuff can be skewed, you know, especially if your dad's coach. They're going to say that. Let's just be real. Yeah. Come and watch you play. You know, that's what I tell anybody. Come and watch you play. They see what I see, what your dad's seen, what people have seen here. 15.7 points per game. 4.5% on your assist per game, 3.5 rebound, 2 steals. You're getting up there. And this is what, and I said, well, I'm gonna do some more searching on this. when I saw 60% field goal efficiency, strong mid range. This is what they write up on you, you know, and they would kind of scout you. This is what the scouting report would say. You don't shoot a lot of threes. You take them in rhythm. Most coaches don't draw up plays for 3-point shots unless it's needed. And I have seen you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You can shoot 60% mid range. That's one of the things that is a dying part of a lot of younger kids' game.
Yeah.
Is the mid range. And back in the 80s and 90s, that was your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Was because your mid range got you to the line. Okay. And I would love to know how many foul shots you shot in your career in order to get that 1,000 points, because you're smart enough to get to the line, and you shoot well enough from the free throw line at 88% that you're going to make, you know, majority of it. So all these efficiencies is taken in consideration of, you know, when coaches look at this, D2, D1 teams, they look at, first thing they look at is they're going to, of course, look at your grades, which you're fine. And then they look at the efficiency rating. They look at, okay, what is everybody else saying? Not their hometown, but what is everybody else saying? And if you look and you Google yourself and don't just say, okay, what does everybody think about Ella, whether it be Instagram, what does everybody actually, the coaches think? What are they writing down? Because that's your focus. If you look at that and you look at what I've seen, I see the body of work that you've put in for the last 4 years. Climb. It's never flatlined and just stayed here. And explain to me how you started from a freshman. What have you done differently from a freshman to what you do now to not go downhill, but to keep climbing?
I think just making sure when I come in here just to work as hard as I possibly can. You know, I feel like when I was younger, maybe some days, you know, maybe I wouldn't go as hard, you know, and then as I've gotten older, I just feel like just going as hard as I possibly can every time I'm in here has really just helped me a lot.
So that goes back to that mentality that I always talk about is, and I think I told Ethan this, is that when you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it's with life, with sports, or whatever. If you go half gear at it, that's the way you live your life.
Yeah.
If you practice hard, you'll play hard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best teams I've been part of or been affiliated with, or the practices seem always harder than the game ever was.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with every team because you just don't have the athleticism. But when you do, you should see that type of practice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you do, you know, whether it's running or if it's basketball. Some of your individual achievements, I've got a list here, but I want you to name some that you can remember.
Basketball or cross country or track?
Let's do both.
Okay. Basketball, I've been all BDD, all region, all state, I think second team, district player of the year, 1,000-point scorer, cross country, 800, no, that's track, 800-meter champion in district, 800-meter champion region, all state in the 800, runner up in the 800 at state, runner up in the 800 at region. Cross country, district champion, all region, all state. Those are the ones I can remember.
Okay, I'm going to throw one else at you.
Okay.
NACA 3-point contest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the humble nature of you. And that was recent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was this past season.
Yeah. I read the little thing your mom put up there. Is that, you know, that's something you rub in with your dad, you know, because he don't have that. But you made 12 3-pointers in 60 seconds. That's tough.
Yeah. Well, he was rebounding for me too. My dad was rebounding, so I probably could have made more, but I probably missed one.
Well, everybody
and,
knows
you
he
know,
can't really rebound.
he took
Yeah.
forever, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I seen all these accolades, and I thought, I kept searching, and I thought, you know, there's so many of them. Of all of these that you have, what would you, if you had to pick just one and say, yeah, this is what I want to keep on my trophy case, what would it be?
Well, I got the citizenship award at school.
I didn't mention that, but I've got it down here.
Well, that's the one I keep.
That's awesome because your mom had put that on there as that of all the accolades that was her favorite.
Yeah.
And I really believe she means that. It's not the 1,000-point score. It's what kind of young lady is she raising? Because there is life after sports. As you said, you want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I hope you're going to be a lawyer that can tell the truth. You know, very few of them I found yet. At least not to me. They're out there, I'm sure. Now I'm going to ask you some opinions, some questions. Just be as honest as you can. I know you've been a upcoming lawyer. That may be tough. We'll put you on the spot. All right. Do you have a favorite gym that you play in? Like when you walk in, everything just feels right. Before when you get off the bus and you're going to the gym.
My favorite gym, I would have to say probably Hurley or Grundy. I love playing over there.
I always like when I walked into the Grund gym, like the lighting. I don't know what it is. It's like the inheritors to me is too bright.
Yeah.
And
really
the ceiling's a
bright
lot
here.
higher.
Mm.
The lower the ceiling seems like I always liked it better.
Yeah.
So I can see why that would be. And then some gyms are just so bright, like this, not just the lighting, but the color schemes they mess with you. Then you said your favorite course to run was St. Paul.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, rolling up, but you said it's all flat.
Yeah.
And that really surprised me because I remember driving home after you said it, and I go, I would have lost money on that bet, thinking you would really run uphill. Now we're going to talk a little bit of the cross country, as you done touched on. You're BDD champ. Was it 2 years, 3?
2.
2 years, last 2 years. Of course, Region D honors, 4th in the state, Blacksburg. Your time at 20 minutes 55 seconds. Now, it's a lot of people think, well, it's 4th place. 96 competitors. That's a huge number of kids in Division I that made it from all over. Of course, you went up against Shelby Stanley, and the thing about it, people say, well, that's your arch nemesis. No, as Tim O'Quinn says, y'all. I mean, it really truly is. The more I dive into this, it's like a family.
Yeah.
Y'all really do.
Yeah,
cheer. She beat you. You're like, all right, congratulations.
Yeah.
But you really mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, But who knows? Maybe later on you become a track coach somewhere. Maybe that's where your heart is. I was looking at some of the scores and I was going down through there. 34th was. Now I hope I get her name right here. Okay, Destiny Armanderas. I think it's how you try to say it. But her time was at 49.5. Here's the thing: is that 3 minutes she could shave it off.
Yeah.
Who knows what went on that day? She felt sluggish, whatever. Because you said that was one of your best times for that day. So we could have possibly 2 county kids in the top 5 this year, and that's amazing. And I'm sure you all encourage each other, and I can see that. Can you see her cutting her time by 3 minutes?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Destiny works so hard, so I think she could do anything.
She's crazy athletic.
Anything she sets
She is crazy athletic, and I've seen some of the, the stuff that she's accomplished from Little League up to now, and I think, there's a few kids that you see come through that has athleticism, and there's a few kids that come through that are blessed in a certain sport. Mm-hmm. She's one of those kids. I really believe you can plug her into anything. She's volleyball, standout volleyball player. And the volleyball is something that you didn't really take too good, did you?
Yeah, I played freshman and sophomore year, but it was hurting my hip a lot. I was constantly hitting the floor, and so trying to play volleyball, cross country, basketball, it was too much. Yeah.
Now, with all this VHSL stuff behind us, for the most part, where does your focus shift, and how does it shift to the here and now?
I just, I think really I'm still, even when I didn't think I was going to be able to run or play or anything, I was still just trying to work as hard as possible. And so I think still I'm just trying to work as hard as possible, either way.
Now, do you have November the 8th at Green Hill Park, Salem circled?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
That's state. It's the state cross country meet.
Do you have any reason to believe you won't be there? Barring any injuries.
I think I'll be there. I hope I'll be there. I do.
I think you will.
I hope
And
so.
we're going to try to be there at Buchanan County Sports. We're going to try to be there to support you this year.
That sounds good.
More than just one of us. I think that one of the great things about being affiliated with this is that it went from just a dream to try to help kids, that it's now reality. Michael Dotson does a great job. He goes out and gets all this information, and I don't know if he pays for extra. I don't know if he's the memory that's on his phone can hold everything. He has to pay for extra. It's just unreal, the stuff he has, both here and on his phone. And it's hard to say what else he has on notepads or whatever else. But it's all for you kids. We want to promote you all, not to pat us on the back. I could care less. I've lived enough life. My life's half over. I want to see you kids the next level. It took me a long time to realize that the kids I was once coaching someday could be taking care of me, whether it be in a hospital, an ambulance, wherever it could be. It took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah.
And how I would mentor those kids. Then once it clicked for me, one of the older coaches over there at Hurley with Harold Horn, Harold reminded me, these are kids that someday they'll be adults that be taking care of you, maybe. And that really sunk in. But if I'm sitting here today, not just somebody from Buchanan County Sports, but if I'm a basketball coach, a college coach, and I'm looking for a guard, whether it be a point guard or maybe it's a shooting guard, and I need this person to really improve my team from the standpoint of the point guard position. And I look at your bio and I look it up online. I Google you, and I see what I see and everybody else can see. And I take that and I'm just like, well, it's hard to really go by that. What can you tell me if I'm your coach to convince me that you're the person for my team?
Anything you ask me to do, I'll do it. No matter what. If you need me to play the point, I can do that. If you need me to be the best teammate I could possibly be, I'll do that too. So just whatever they need.
I do believe that's true. And a lot of kids, if I didn't, I'd be like, well, this is what I think you need to work on. The only downside for kids around here is the competition. It's not as, it's not as stiff. So unless you do the traveling and you meet these other teams that are more athletic and are on the same level, unless you do that, it's hard to gauge that. But you've done that. You've put the work in, and it's paying off. It's not going unnoticed. Who's your favorite coach of all time?
Well, I guess I'd have to say my dad. He's definitely a good one.
He is a good guy and a good coach.
I don't mean to brag on him, but I guess I will.
Okay. Who's your favorite men's or women's or both? Let's just go men's and women's players.
I have to say it. LeBron is my favorite.
I just threw up. Female.
Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers.
Oh, she's pretty good.
She is.
Yeah. I know the Caitlin Clark gets a lot of the hype and stuff, but there's plenty in the WNBA that are as good or better than Caitlin Clark. Who do you model your game after?
I would say Paige Becker, honestly, because she's not just, and I'm not saying Caitlin Clark just shoots threes, but that's what people really, they're like, wow, she can shoot from, wherever. But Paige, I feel like, she can get to the rim, she can pull up mid range, she can shoot the three, and so that's kind of what I like to model my game after.
Do you defend as good as she does? Do you feel you do?
I think defensively, I'm getting better. I think AAU has really, really improved my defense.
That's what I was getting at earlier, is that the stiffer competition forces you to do things that you would, in here, if you were just playing against lesser opponents, you wouldn't have to beat the person to the spot.
Mm-hmm.
They more than likely would come to you.
Yeah.
Because you already got that extra edge on. But when you step up into that competition, you realize, oh, I've got some work here.
Oh, yeah.
Any good coach, when you leave high school and you go into college, any good coach will take those things that you feel like, and they'll ask you to be honest with them. They'll take those things that you feel like you need to work on. They're not going to work on it with you. They're going to say, do it on your own time.
Yeah.
And I see your dad doing that with you. You're doing so much on your own time. These things that, and I'm sure he's picking them up and he's going with it and going, okay, you need to work on your agility. You need to work on whether it's, trying to get in shape, your breathing or whatever that is. I'm sure he's doing all those things. But I wish you wouldn't have said LeBron. Where do you see yourself in 10 years after you graduate high school?
10 years?
10 years. Believe me, it will fly by.
Well, I hope I have a good job as a lawyer, hopefully. Hopefully just happy, I don't know where I'll be, but I just hope I'm happy.
Well, I hope to see you in some kind of a program that you can give back with the kids with your knowledge. Youth sports, the thing that youth sports is really lacking is the right people. Mm-hmm. I've dealt with it for years that you'd have good-hearted people there, but didn't have the knowledge to pass it down to the child. Yeah. And when that happens, you'll have a group of kids come through that are good-natured kids, but they're just completely lost and oblivious to what they need to be doing on the floor. But with you've got the mannerism, you've got the knowledge, and hopefully you get to play at the next level and you can bring, but that can change for you. You go to the next level and you be like, I think I want to be a coach.
Yeah.
I think I want to do. Ty Compton's a good example of that. Ty Compton was he was an average player, but now I'll say athletic wise, but you knew if you watched Ty, if you've been around him, he was just like a sponge with this super intelligent kid. At a young age, you knew that he could just memorize plays, the other team's plays.
Yeah.
And you could tell back then. So when he became, got the coaching position at Pipe, I wasn't surprised. I thought, well, it's about time. You just knew that. And I can see a little bit of your dad in you from just being on the floor. It's been a joy to watch you these last few years, and I do hope the whole Virginia High School League works out for you. And I hope if anybody that's from there is watching this, they understand that, I said this earlier, the embodiment of a student athlete, if they was to define it, it would be a picture of you by that definition. Just everything that anybody would want in a student athlete. Everything from the great point average, the humble nature, doing everything the right way, and the hard work ethic. That's something that will never be able to be duplicated any other way, but just you've got to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody can do it for you. You're cutting your own path. Have you had any schools reach out to you?
Yeah, I've had a few. Got an offer from UVA Wise and Hollins to run, and then Kentucky Christian has offered me for basketball. And I've had a few more reach out. So
where's Hollins? Where's that at?
I think it's kind of close to Salem, somewhere up there.
So all three of these for running, or you said a Kentucky Christian for
Christians,
basketball?
yeah. And another 2 are running.
Would you be open to a college saying, okay, we want you for both?
I've actually got asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that I need to just, once I'm in college, just stick with one, because I think it'd just be too much. Try and balance college and also, a college sport. So,
I'm sure your dad's talked to you a little bit what it takes to 5 a.m. workouts.
yeah.
Staying later to work out again.
Yep.
Those things that you take from here, from high school, and you multiply it by like 10.
Yeah.
And the thing is that once you go there and you go on a scholarship, you're on their dime.
Yeah.
So they're going to require that of you. And that's why it's so important that everything that you've put in and the body of work that you still do daily, when you got the bad news, you had a few days there that you were down on yourself, kicked yourself, and then finally what happened? You just get yourself up and say enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you got right back at it. So that's the kind of work ethic I'm saying that the Virginia high school leagues got to look at this stuff. They got to see that when we as coaches, we need more players like you. We need more student athletes like you. We need more students like you. And for the opportunity anytime being taken, rules are made. The old saying is rules are made to be broken. I disagree with that. I do believe that rules are made to be changed per situation. And common sense got to come in at some point in time. COVID started the whole scenario of you kids and a social life of decline. Mm-hmm. And some of you kids lost a lot of time playing because of that. Luckily, you didn't have to deal with that, but some of y'all did. And in a sense, if this was to be pressed, it would be the same scenario for you. But there's no do-overs.
Yeah.
See, some kids back then got a fifth year if they chose.
Yeah.
But I do hope it works out for you.
I appreciate it.
I know you've got a great supporting cast with your dad and your mom, and the community here at Coumcil's always been huge to helping everybody out. Well, not just that, your Facebook family, everybody seems to, when that happened, they all just kind of surrounded you and tucked you in. You became part of their family. Everyday talk, how's Ella doing, yada, yada, yada. So you whether you see it or not, there's a lot of people rooting for you. And I'm one of them. I don't wear I'm Team Ella shirt or anything, but I do wish you the best, and I hope that, as the season progresses, that we get to see you on the podcast as a Player of the Week. Would love to sit back down with your dad and your mom sometime. Especially your dad to get him in there and kind of go through some of the history of Coumcil and tell some of his stories. One of the things I want to do is Lloyd Combs, rest his soul. He's such a huge part of our county sports, and especially through the heydays here at Coumcil. And he was just a few miles down the road where he lived at, but he had a hit. One of his books was called, These Are the Stories. And I want to take that title. I want to be able to let people like your dad, and some of the guys he played with, the coaches, Rick Gooden, tell their stories. And not just the wins and the losses. See, like your story is not about the wins and the losses. The story is behind the character. And that's what this is all about, is that no matter the adversity, no matter what life throws at you, your character is not going to change. It's not going to waver. You may not like the outcome, but it's not going to change you from being the good person you are. So I personally, I want to thank you for being that kind of person, and hopefully you start a trend, a new group of kids, and you become a leader yourself someday, and you're able to pass this knowledge down, so that no other kid has to go through what you did emotionally. And all of our, we just want to wish you the best. You'll be seeing us, like I say, whether it be on a ball court rooting you on, or we're going to try to make it to some, some cross country events. I'm going to try to learn a little bit more about it and the cool down of it. So all of that. But I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you
for letting us come over and kind of just sit down and let you tell your story a little bit. Anything else you want to add?
I just want to say thank you to all of y'all and to everyone who supported me. That everybody's just been so great to me, and it'll all work out in the end. It will.
I have no doubt in that. I have no doubts of that at all. But I appreciate you again, coming over and let me sit down and talk with you a little bit. It's been a joy, it really has. But I want to thank everybody for joining me this week, and for Ella again for allowing me to come over and kind of talking some stuff with her and airing out some stuff that may have been way past the time, and that way she can get her story out there. So I can see, again, if there's somebody out there from the Virginia High School League that's seeing this, have a little common sense. This is about the kids. This is about opportunity. And we pray and we hope that your opportunity is wide open for you and you're able to make the best of it. Until next week or until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you.